All right, my name's Eric Adams. It's Ericadams, and I'm a teacher at Lebanon High School. This year, we are focusing on the Crossroads of the Ozarks. This is a Missouri Arts Council grant that has allowed us to partner with professional artists, historians, as well as having field trips and creating murals. I've been very excited to continue what Elizabeth Barker started a few years ago with her work with Missouri Arts Council Artist in Residence. Been excited to have artists like Kababi Bayak and Norman Akers, nationally known. And then very excited to talk and work with Linda Spencer and Roberto Ragalando from Laughing Well Studios. Both of them are nationally known for their huge murals they've accomplished with Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. Over the last couple years, they have featured international cultures, from the Hispanic Heritage mural that you see in the hallway in Donley to our different continents, Africa, Asia, Australia, and Europe, that were featured in the Culture Fair this last year. And so looking at that past experience, I want to build on something that's near and dear to my heart, which is local history. We're celebrating our 175th anniversary of Lebanon and Laclede County. And there are so many stories that I feel can bring our community more aware. From the Old Town history, where Lebanon was founded, 1849, to the different milestones. When we think about when the railroad came, it drew the folks from Old Town to downtown. And then we went from that downtown community along Commercial Street, developing the different roads, whether that be Route 66, I-44, Highway 5, 32, 64. I mean, we literally are the crossroads of the Ozarks in Lebanon. And I feel like we have something to offer culturally and historically. When I think about the history, I also want to piggyback about what our early history was, prehistory of the Native Americans. You know, before the Wyoda, we had the mound builders. Many of them were around Bennett Spring and up and down the Niangua. And then we had the Osage, which used Lebanon and Laclede County as a hunting grounds, kind of a seasonal place to come. There wasn't a permanent residence for the Osage, but they did name our little area Wyoda. And so for this early settlers of Lebanon and Laclede County, they actually adopted Wyoda as one of their early names. And then when the folks from Tennessee came, there was a preacher that came from Lebanon, Tennessee, that said he wanted to reinforce that hometown that he grew up in. So we adopted Lebanon as our name, the name of our town. Then slowly, as more and more people started to arrive, you had different influences. One of the biggest influences was the Harold Bell Wright, author, back about 1900. And he wrote the book called The Shepherd of the Hills and The Calling of Dan Matthews. And not many people know that The Calling of Dan Matthews was about Lebanon, and he called it Corinth. And so that little tidbit has been kind of an inspiration for understanding the culture back then and also now. Helping understand where Lebanon came from is really important. Other milestones and people, we've been learning about different leaders like Missouri Governor and presidential candidate Richard Parks Bland. We learned about two-time Governor Phil M. Donnelly. We've learned about educational leaders like W.T. Vernon. He was the Secretary of the Treasury for Theodore Roosevelt. And it was something that was really unheard of. He was the first African-American to be put on the cabinet for a president. And he was also an education leader. He was the president of Lincoln University up in Jefferson City, and he helped found Western University in Kansas. And so his educational leadership really had an impact, and they named a school, W.T. Vernon School, after him here in Lebanon. Another impact that he had is in the religious world. And so I really feel like all of our community should be aware that he was a bishop and basically the head of the AME church for a period, and a missionary in Africa. So it's really interesting to see some of our political leaders, educational leaders, and our religious leaders all having an impact in our community. What I'm looking forward to looking for in the future is how our students can look at past and have a voice about the future. We've had talks with our City of Lebanon Economic Development Director, Brian Thompson, who talked about the Lebanon 2040 project. And that Lebanon 2040 project looked at our assets, what we've been really good at doing, of building manufacturing, and then also gave us some areas to improve and grow. So I really want students to have a voice about its future. And I think that, looking at all these opportunities with whether that be, the rivers, the rail, or the roads, those are just kind of historical milestones. But I want to look at the major projects. When we think about the mural, that's something that we'll be finished with in the next couple weeks, working with Linda and Roberto, working with magazine publisher Tina Casagran-Foss with the New Territory magazine. That's going to be a huge accomplishment of accumulating photographs, artifacts, photographic scans of historical documents, as well as stories and cut lines and captions that will help encompass the whole experience for the Crossroads of the Ozarks. And then finally, a documentary that really is as much about the experience as it is the stories that we've been listening to. And so I hope that having each of those main parts, mural, magazine, and documentary, will be a lasting impact for our students and our community as we celebrate our 175 years. This may be something that we can try to continue. What I'm hoping is that we'll catch a spark with some of the community that would like to expand some of these stories, the untold stories and untold resources that we have. I really think that when you look at our community, we've done a fair job of restoring and preserving like our Bennett Spring history. We have this wonderful park and people celebrate it. We look at our Route 66 history. That's a wonderful asset to have people come and go and travel the Route 66. We have a museum to celebrate that. One thing I don't see is some of that middle area between the rivers and the roads. I'm thinking maybe something related to the railroad or the downtown commercial area to celebrate our history that really is at the root of our community. And so my hope is that this will foster some more discussion. I know next year, we're celebrating, I think, something like 225 years of Missouri history. They have a funny name for it. And that lends itself to maybe some other conversations about maybe Laclede County or Missouri history that I want to expand. Hope my students will appreciate our history, but also have the motivation to be a voice in the future.